Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here with Conversations with Taz. Whew, it's been a doozy of a day. A doozy of a day. A lot has happened. I know everybody is reveling in the fashions from the Met Gala and the ups and downs, the woes, and Rihanna. Yes, her name is Rihanna. She's told y'all how to pronounce it multiple times. Get it right. That she's knocked up again. Like, what is this? Her second, third time revealing a baby bump at the Met? Darling. And for those of you all with your purity content, your respectability politics going, but she's not married. Who the fuck do we don't know? And who said that's what she wanted? Mm, mm. See, if you want people to respect how you live your life, respect how the choices that other people make. It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. Mind the business that pays you. That and that alone. But if we're going to talk about the Met Gala, we do have to talk about the fact that this was a Met Gala centered around Black men specifically and fashion. And the Black man of the decade, Wisdom K, was not invited. Such a missed opportunity. Such a missed opportunity. But Wisdom is known for speaking his mind and in a very Wisdom K type of way, speaking up for the underdog. So, and speaking of which, quite a few of you all, I'm gonna need you to speak up regarding this underdog. Take a look.
Imagine being in jail knowing you didn't do something and then having a video that shows you didn't do anything, but hearing that your government is still going to keep you in jail.
This security footage shows a woman identified in a police report as 26-year-old Caroline Miller on a mobility scooter with her two kids. Miller told police that an Indian man approached her and grabbed her 2-year-old son and pulled him away.
No, no, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I got him back, and then he just stared at me and then goes, "Oh, I just wanted to get him out of your lap so you could get up and help me," which was weird. That didn't make any sense. And then he just walked off.
That man was eventually identified as 56-year-old Mahendra Mik Patel, a real estate investor, retired engineer, husband, and father of two. Police arrested him and charged him with kidnapping of a minor, assault, and battery.
How has this happened? How was he even arrested?
Merchant provided NBC News with over 9 hours of surveillance video from various cameras inside that Walmart. In the video, you can see Patel approach Miller. According to the police report, Miller says Patel asked her where the Tylenol was. Merchant says that as Miller stands up to point to where the Tylenol was, her 2-year-old son slips from her lap. Patel says he tried to help stabilize the toddler. The video shows Patel walking off, and he's later seen approaching Miller one more time to show her that he found the Tylenol. She appears to give him a thumbs up. Now, almost 45,000 people have signed a Change.org petition calling for justice for Patel.
Now, before your indoctrination, your internalized racism, your biases, your prejudices cause you to say, well, something had to happen. That woman wouldn't have just lied. Yes, she would have. And yes, she did. The history of the globe when it comes to Black and brown bodies has been riddled with people lying just to lie. They know that they can fulfill their victimhood kink by putting us as the villain in their story, because more often than not, no one's going to question it. No one's going to question it. Now, myself as a Black woman, I could say, hey, insert white man here did X, Y, and Z to me. Hell, I could put any race or ethnicity of man and say he did this, that, and the other to me. I would be questioned. I would be vilified. She knew that there were other people in the store. She knew that there were cameras. She knew that when it happened, she didn't yell for help. No, nothing. And I saw another portion of the interview where she's trying to on camera coach her child. And this is where, if you're going to be a journalist, be a journalist. Call the person out right then and there. Why do you need to coerce this man? And she already admitted she didn't need to be in the mobility device. She did it because her children thought that it was fun. Now, how would her children know if it was fun or not? Now, she could just be a horrific person trying to do what Shiloh Hendricks is doing, create a situation where she's going to be perceived as the victim because she is a default damsel in distress, so that she can have a money grab and her 15 minutes of fame. Or somebody she knows told whatever man in her life that she was chatting it up with the brown man and she needed a story, and this has gone too far. Both of those scenarios reign supreme when it comes to things like this. What is not okay is that consistently Black, brown, indigenous men of color are proven innocent and still remain locked up, will still be executed, will still end up with criminal records. Why do you think racists tend to want to push forward intentionally, and they know it, skewed statistics in order to say, well, the 13% make up blah, blah, blah of arrest? They never tell you about convictions, and then they never put into account how many exonerations happen and what the demographic of those exonerations look like. So you pay attention to the 5 seconds that an exoneration story makes the local news more often than not. And a lot of times it's not even televised news. It's something that might be on a small corner in the back of a website. And no more, no less. No more, no less. Let's get into a few headlines from the day. A divided Supreme Court allows Trump administration to begin enforcing ban on transgender service members. I want you all to remember that there are 3 associate justices on SCOTUS who are fighting diligently to uphold the rule of law and the Constitution. Amy Coney Barrett is wavering back and forth depending on what's constitutional and what's not. Now, although this is egregious, for full disclosure, does not mean that I agree, but I'm going to do my best to break this down to you and be as transparent as I can regarding what's going forward. Because are we correct to be upset? But we have to look at what we should be upset about. The language in this is targeted at the trans community, but indirectly and not directly. It deals with gender dysmorphia. Now, I said in a live earlier today, you can check it out either here on YouTube or over on Substack, that I have come in contact and have met people who are not members of the trans community who do have gender dysphoria. There are members of the trans community that do have gender dysphoria. The vast majority, from what studies and research that I have come across say, the vast majority do not. That is the slippery slope that they're on. This is why the decision is the way that it is. And the 3 dissenting justices, you know who they are, have spoken out publicly regarding this. And this is what's getting tricky. The attorneys from the DOJ, essentially Trump's new personal attorneys in a capacity that they should not be his personal attorneys, are getting tricky with the language and they're muddying the waters. This is why decisions are taking a little bit longer. This is why they're circling around through all of these different levels of the judicial system. So I don't want you to think that they just sat back and was like, oh, yes, we hate the trans community and we're not going to do anything to. That is not the case in this instance. Now, also coming down the pipeline from today, Trump officials will meet with China, signaling an openness to trade negotiations. Basically, China is sick of Trump lying. China is sick of Trump shit. Like so sick of Trump shit. Trump says U.S. To stop strikes on Houthis in Yemen. Well, we kind of have to at this point. This is more precautionary, it seems, due to the whole Signalgate 1, Signalgate 2.0. Signalgate may be continuing. Well, it's definitely continuing because we've got photographic evidence of the vice president and multiple others still utilizing Signal as of last week, the end of last week at that. Trump's Oval Office meeting with Carney didn't reach Zelensky level tension, but it wasn't all neighborliness. Trump kept trying to poke the bear. Trump, I keep telling y'all, he thinks he's Fredo. He is going back to that machismo of the 1980s. He is stuck in that decade, and he is stuck thinking that he is a character in his favorite mafioso film. And he really thinks that he can just keep poking whatever bear comes down his way, thinking that nobody's going to push back. He's got it in his mind when the cameras are rolling that people will play along like this is Celebrity Apprentice again, and people have to suck up to him, because they really didn't, for ratings. No, this is real life. A Rhodes Scholar such as Carney is not going to let you talk down to him or lie about him or his country while he's sitting there. Especially since Trump, you were talking shit on Truth Social before you even met the man face to face. You're the reason why the meeting was delayed. Everything everyone thought that a Black person being the commander-in-chief, everything that they thought would happen is what has been happening with Trump. Trump 1.0 and now Trump 2.0. Trump stays on time. And the GOP push to formalize Trump's Gulf of America runs into resistance in the House. Yeah. Oh, and for those of y'all that were like, oh, I thought we were done with that. And he did the little squiggly heartbeat pseudo signature. And we thought, no, an executive order is not the law of the land. It is not codifying shit. If that were the case, do you know how many presidents throughout the history of this adolescent nation would have made the amount of executive orders they would have put through? Black folks will still be in chains. Japanese Americans will still be in internment camps. Chinese Americans would be relegated to the railroads. Native Americans probably would no longer exist. 9-year-old brides would still be a thing. And Trump's approval rating is still hovering from some polls at 41%. But the disapproval rating seems to keep rising. Also, 2 more judges blocked Trump's administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants. This is why I tell people to calm down. Stop saying, oh, he's getting away with it again. I want you to name one time where Trump has actually gotten away with something. Being convicted of 34 felonies is not getting away with something. Not being able to go to certain countries as POTUS is not getting away with something. Being POTUS in name only, while so many people in your administration that you sidestepped proper vetting for, that are trying to pull power and are successfully pulling power away from you, is not avoiding consequences. Your favorite child, Ivanka, distancing herself, throwing you under the bus, and letting the world know in a very covert but direct way that you are anti-Semitic and racist. He has yet to avoid accountability. He is actually, only thing he's won, and that was barely, and that's because of you all's anti-blackness and misogyny, internal or otherwise, was the election. I need you all to stop giving him credit that he doesn't deserve. On one hand, you admit that he's a bumbling idiot, and on the other, you give him credit for being some type of diabolical genius. Please make up your mind. And speaking of one of his half-baked, half-hatched ideas or plans, take a look at this.
Donald Trump got duped by the law firms that settled with him to avoid persecution by the DOJ because he didn't bother to read the fine print. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has been going after any law firm that had anything to do with the cases against him, January 6ers, or anything he didn't like. And many of those law firms settled with Donald Trump offering pro bono work. And while they did receive blowback for settling, it turns out they knew what they were doing. Because Donald Trump has insisted that he can use these law firms and that pro bono work for anything he wants. Whoever he wants them to defend or work for, they have to do it, whether it's coal leasing or whether it's tariffs. But the law firms have pushed back and said absolutely not, saying that they maintain complete independence as to the clients and matters the firm takes on, whether in pro bono or commercial engagements. The agreement does not dictate or restrict what pro bono matters we will take on moving forward. Yeah, Mr. Art of the Deal got duped while making a deal. In fact, one law firm said they'll only take on issues that defend veterans, fairness in our justice system, or anti-Semitism. Well done, Donald.
Trump doesn't understand the art of anything, let alone a deal. He gets duped in every deal. And that's because he's so steeped in ego that he has convinced himself that he is in control and he's not. I got to watch someone like that up close and personal, and it boggled my mind. Like, they would talk to me as if I couldn't see these things happening in real time right in front of my face. It was so interesting because they thought that they had all these people manipulated. And I'm like, everybody is getting what they want out of you, but you're getting really nothing. You can take credit for it from a small group of people, but even that doesn't last very long. And that's essentially what Trump is able to do. Depending on who's in the room, he can take credit for, but as soon as you leave the room, the truth comes out. Excuse me. A quick note. Do not forget, tomorrow is Wisdom Wednesday. And tomorrow, I believe you're really going to like this one. I really do. And the overall topic is, what are we doing to protect our people? So make sure you tune in and bring a friend. Tonight's going to be pretty short since we do have 3 shows this week. And like I said, there was a live earlier, a little bit more in depth with a lot of the news that was going on. So information regarding day 2 of jury selection for the Diddy trial is posted here and on TikTok. The Reed trial is in the midday recap for today. But let's close out with this, since Trump keeps talking about Alcatraz, and all of his talking points regarding Alcatraz obviously came from movies and various forms of media from the 1980s and late 70s. Coming from usatoday.com, from federal prison to tourist destination, see what Alcatraz looks like today. Donald Trump calls to reopen the infamous Alcatraz prison in the San Francisco Bay has garnered attention since the president posted about it on May 4th. The federal prison on Alcatraz Island housed notorious U.S. criminals such as Al Capone before it closed in 1963, becoming one of San Francisco's most popular tourist destinations. While Trump called to rebuild and open Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders, the actual process of doing so would prove tricky, as the building has become a museum and historic site brimming with guided tours as part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area overseen by the National Park Service since its closure. Reopening the facility, which was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976 and named a National Historic Landmark in 1986, has been considered before. In 1981, Alcatraz Island was one of 14 sites evaluated as the Reagan administration searched for a location to hold 10,000 to 20,000 Cuban detainees during the Mariel boat lift. However, the site was rejected because of its lack of utilities, historic nature, and popularity as a tourist destination. Today, Alcatraz is more of a museum than a prison. And Trump is just learning about bits and pieces of US history. Now, whoever is feeding him this, it's obvious to distract him. But the bits and pieces that he's getting in his mind, he's like, oh, I can take this and I can make it bigger and better. And they'll remember me more bigly than this person, not realizing that we've already advanced past these things, that these things have already been expanded upon and built upon. But an idiot gonna do what an idiot gonna do. Also, check out the links in the bio for those of y'all that like a little spicy story. There is a new Taz After Dark story. It is listed in the bio. This one is going to be a little, it's going to be more than one part. Got the juices flowing on the first one. If you didn't read the very, very first story, make sure you do that. There is a new podcast up on Spotify. And if you are subscribed for the paid subscription on Substack, there is a podcast over there and a new listing of deconstructing journaling prompts over there, and the first sub-only history video, History with Taz, over on TikTok is up. So take your pick. From $3 to $10, you get additional content, and that's $3 to $10 per month. So as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I will check you all out tomorrow, like I said, for Wisdom Wednesdays. Till then.